Hello everyone and welcome to another video in the Excel to SQL series, or as I'd like to call it, Master SQL using Excel series on this channel. So in the previous video we saw the where condition, and we have covered now two clauses in the series, which is select and where, select from and where. Okay, so where we saw how to select the columns that you want from your table and how to do the filtering of the values, right? We've seen single filters and we have seen how to add multiple filters, how to connect them using and or not. Okay, and the difference between text filters and number filters. Okay, so there was a lot going on in the previous video, so if you haven't had the chance to check that out, I'd suggest you to please go check that out before coming to this video. Okay, all right, so now we are going to be looking at the next clause, which is going to be the group by clause. Okay, so all this while we've kept this column unaggregated. Okay, we have kept this column as is, just selected into the table, but now we are going to be looking at the aggregation. So group by is how you're going to achieve aggregations in the query, in your query table. All right, so let's see how we can do that. So if coming back to the pivot that we created in the previous video, so we have name, year of release, genre, platform, global sales, and we have this filters that's added. So I'm just going to remove this for now. Okay, now the first thing that I'm going to do in this table is I'm going to convert this selected column into an aggregated column. Okay, and that's very easy. I'm just going to get back my field list and I'm going to move this to values. Okay, so now what happens, as you can see, it now says sum of global sales, which means sum is the most default aggregating function in most scenarios, so which is why it is aggregated to this one by default. Okay, so now you can see that there was a slight change, although it may not look like a change, but I'll show you why that's the case. Okay, so if you see now, we are looking at the sum of global sales by all these dimensions: the name of the game, year, release, genre, and platform. Okay, what if I remove the year of release? So let's say I remove this column completely. Okay, and we can remove one more column. I feel we can remove the platform column. Okay, so now you see I am actually getting the aggregations for all these games. Okay, I am actually getting the total sales for all these games. But instead of taking the name game, let's look at this genre. If I remove this the name of the game itself, now what you get is you are getting the sum of the global sales for each of the genres. Okay, each of the genres. So action games is about 635 million, adventure is 48, fighting is 146, and so on. Okay, so I've only selected one column, I've selected an aggregated column, and I've not added a filter. But if I add a filter now, let's say I only want to see the total for, let's pick something, Nintendo. Now when I do that, now I'm getting the sum of the global sales for all the genres where publisher is equal to Nintendo. Okay, and this way you can also add multiple columns. So if I have sum of global sales, I want to see sum of NA sales as well. So I'll just get that column as well. Now when I bring it here, so now I'm seeing the sum of NA sales and sum of global sales. Okay, I can even bring this here. So I select the whole column and I just drag it. Okay, so that's essentially how you can reorder columns in a pivot table without having to go to the table and change the names. Okay, right, and now this way you can see this for other dimensions as well. So as and when you add more dimensions, the sum changes. So if, for example, now if I say let's go with platform. So if I say not platform, I'm sorry, the platform is filtered, so let's go with the genre itself. So I can, not genre, what is this, let's say the year. Let's go by the year. I think that will be an interesting insight. So I'll just come here and do year of release, and now you can see the total sales by genre and by year of release, and look at the way it's ordered. Okay, this is for Nintendo alone. So first comes action, and it's starting from 85 to 2013, and you're getting the sum of all the sales. Okay, adventure, there were only 2 game releases according to this data set. Fighting, again there are some values, and miscellaneous. Okay, so when you add more dimensions, the sum of the values also change. Okay, in fact, if you remove the genre column completely, you will only get this for year of release. Okay, so this is basic aggregation functions that you are doing using the pivot table. Okay, and now we are going to look at the same thing in the SQL table. All right. Okay, so this is where we had left from the previous video, and I'm just going to replace this query so that we maintain the flow. All right. So let's say I want to look at the total sum of all the global sales by publisher. Okay, so let's first recreate the table that we already have, which is year of release, or rather I will do the genre. Okay, genre and global sales. Okay, let's look at only 2 things. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to edit this query completely. So I will select genre. Okay, and then I'm going to say global sales, because that's what we need, right? However, if you look at this now, we are trying to do the aggregation. Okay, when we chose global sales over here, we selected it just as a column. However, now we want to do the aggregation. Okay, so what is the change that will happen over here? You will specify the aggregation function that you want around your numerical column. Okay, so if you want sum, then you write sum of global sales. Okay, so select genre, sum of global sales from this. Okay, I'm not going to add a filter in this query. So what am I going to do is, to facilitate this sum of global sales, you have to add the clause that we're learning today, which is the group by clause. Okay, so the order of the group by is select and from, and after that comes the group by. So even if you add a where will come before the group by. The where will not come after the group by. Okay, we're going to look into a little more detail on how that works in a separate video, but essentially know that the where clause will come after select and from and before the group by. Okay, we will look at that by writing another query over here. Okay, so select genre, sum of global sales from the table name, group by. So the column names that you will write in group by are whatever column names that is selected in the select statement. They're the dimension columns basically. Okay, so in this case we have the genre column, so I'm just going to write the genre column as is. Okay, now when I select this, you see we're getting the same table. Okay, the same table that we got in the first instance. Right, we are looking at the total sales by the genre column. Okay, now what if I want to add the year of release? Okay, which is what we did in the first instance. We got the year of release and genre, correct? This is what we did in the first table. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add that column as well. Year of release. Okay, if I run this, it's not going to run. It's going to throw you an error. Why? Because year of release is invalid. It's not contained in either the aggregated function or group by. So basically what it's trying to tell you is that this year of release column has not been added in the group by. So remember the first point, that whatever columns you add in the select when you are doing an aggregation function, the same columns you can just copy them and paste it over here. Okay, you can even group them by another column. Let's say you can group them by publisher or something like that, but without specifying. Okay, let's see how to do that as well. But group by genre, year of release. This is the basic one. Okay, I have selected genre, year of release in select, and now I'm adding the same columns here as well. So when I do this, now you can see there is genre, there is year of release, and there is sum of global sales. Okay, so looks like there were what order is this? And this is in the ascending order, right? We're going by year. So before 1980, we do not have, we have some sales, but we don't know which year is that. Could be 79, could be 78. Okay. So everything starts from here. In fact, let's do like this. Let's remove these values. Okay. This way I can also tell you how to filter out null values. So let's say I'm going to add a filter now and say where year of release, the column that we want to filter, is, I'll just say is not null. Okay, so now I have added a where filter. Okay, so now we have got the select, we've got the from, we've got the filter criteria, and we've got the group by. Now when I do this, those null values are gone. Okay, so if you see now the way this is ordered, it's going year wise. Okay, so we are going in the ascending order of the years. Okay, so platform for 81, 4.5 million, puzzle for 82, 7.8, sports 83, 3.2, racing 84, 4.15. So the multiple genres started afterwards. So it was only puzzle and sports and platform, and then it comes to racing, shooter, sports. And as you go progressively downwards, you're going to get more association of year and platform. Right? See, 1992, you have fighting 92, miscellaneous 92, platform 92, racing 92, and you have the corresponding sum of global sales over here. All right. So this way you can do this. If you want to only look for a specific genre, okay. So let's say now I have already added one filter where year of release is not null. So I will connect it with another one, and let's say genre is equal to let's go for action. Okay, so now I have added two criteria in the where statement. Okay, does not matter which criteria you add first and which you add second. Okay, it's all going to get filtered the same. Everything else remains the same, right? And now you see action. So we are only seeing action games appear in the dataset after 1985. Okay, and then you are understanding what is the global sales that has happened. Okay, so this way you can see the trend. Okay, you can put like a line graph, okay, with the year of release in the x-axis, sales at the y-axis, and you can see the trend of the global sales for the genre action or any other genre that you're filtering. All right, so that's so this is the first we are manipulating this data at another level now, the table that we have selected, where we are now aggregating the values and also filtering them. Okay. So now let's say I want to get only what if I do not add any column over here. Okay, so if I say sum of global sales from this where year of release is not null and genre is equal to action. Okay, I removed the group by because there is no column over here. Okay, let's see if it works or not. It does, right? So essentially what I am saying is select sum of global sales from dbo.videogamesales where year of release is not null and genre is equal to action. So whatever criteria we set in the previous table, now what I am actually looking at is only the sum value. Okay, I am only looking at the sum value of the global sales. Okay, so now what I get is the total sum value, which is a single value. Now can I add a group by? I can definitely add a group by. So I can say group by, let's say publisher, because there's no filter for publisher. If I do this, now you see these numbers are broken out. Okay, but we have not added publisher in the select statement. So essentially this is something, this could be PS2, this could be X360, this could be PS3, PS5, whatever. So it's just broken out in that fashion. That 635 number that you saw is just broken out in this fashion now. Okay. And how do you know that? You can just go ahead and add the publisher column. Okay, I'll just add it here and show you now. There you go. Yeah, so there's Activision, there's Atari. Yeah, what I mentioned earlier was uh, the what is that, the place where you play the game, right? Not the publisher. Whereas in this case I've taken publisher, so it's just broken out in the name. So now you're actually seeing what is this, which publisher is 26.9 million attributed to, and all those things, right? So this is how you can use this and aggregate whatever you need, and put those values. Now similarly, if you want to add another numerical column, sum of global sales, and then we did sum of NA sales, right? So I'll just come here and add that sum of NA sales, right? There you go. Now you have two summation columns where you're seeing global sales and NA sales. Okay. Now one last thing that I will cover in this is this thing. You can see here it's no column name and no column name in your new table. Okay, why is that happening? That's because you've created this new column. From an existing column, you have changed the nature of the existing column and created a new column. Instead of global sales, you have turned it into sum of global sales. Okay, but you haven't named what the new column is. It's just called sum of global sales. So in many other platforms, you can actually see the same name come over here, whereas here it shows no column name. That is because we have not given it a name. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do that. I'm just going to say as. So as is the keyword we will use to alias any given column. Okay, so sum of global sales as, and then you give the name. What is the name that you want to give? Let's say I will say total global sales. You can see there's a name now, right? So I have written sum of global sales as total global sales, and that's come here. Similarly, I can do the same here as total NA sales. And I can do it for this as well. I can say select publisher as publisher name. Okay, there you go. So I have publisher name, I have total global sales, and I have total NA sales, right? So I have renamed all the columns in my select. Okay, so coming back to group by again, so you can take any kind of dimension and you can check out how these things are done and created. Okay, so usually they can ask you like what is the total global sales broken by publisher name, or what is the total quantity of sales done by product category and things like that. So this is the approach you will have to take to write the query. Alright, now we only covered sum as an aggregation function, but there is average and there is count as well. Okay, so instead of doing sum, let's say I take average of global sales. So I'll just convert this to average. Okay, so instead of total, this will be average as well. Just my name. Alright, if I select this, it's going to function the same way. Okay, so now instead of taking the sum, what it's taking is the average of the global sales. Okay, by the publisher name. Now in the same fashion, if you look at another grouping function, which is the count function, right? So we saw how to do sum and we saw how to do average, but you can also use this to do count. Okay, so for example, I want to say, let's check a simple count first. So I want to say how many publishers or how many rows are there in this table. So we say select count star from video games. Okay, now if I run this, I'm going to get the total number of rows that is there in this data set, which is 659. Okay, so that's going to be number of rows. Now if you want to say you want to know how many games are there per publisher. Okay, so you have games and you have publisher. So how many games has each publisher released? So you can do, then you can write select publisher, count of publisher. So this is the same vein where instead of using average or sum, I'm using count. So select publisher, count of publisher from DBO video game sales, group by publisher. All right. So if I run this, now you can see that we can see the number of games by each publisher, right? So Activision has 55 games according to this dataset. Disney Interactive Studios 4, EA has 99, Konami has 15, Microsoft Game Studios has 26, and so on and so forth. Nintendo has 166, right? So this is another aggregated function we are using, that is the count. Okay, so we saw the single value version of it where we're just taking the count, and we are also seeing the one with a particular dimension. Okay, so this way you can also instead of this you can use the year as well, the year of release, right? You can say how many games, as per this data set, how many games were released for a given year. So if I just change this, and you can see that, right? So 98 had 20 games, 1990 had 6, 2004 had 22, and so on and so forth, right? So we have a null year which has seven games under null. So that is something we might need to check. But this way you can figure out the count of the number of values. Okay, so this way you can use aggregated functions such as sum, average, and count, grouping them by one or more dimensions to get the values, right? Now these are very common questions that they ask, right? Now you can see here, so this query basically tells you the number of games released by year. Okay, so very common interview questions come like this, as to how many games per publisher, or how many games were released per year, how many products were sold by category, and stuff like that, right? So sometimes it's a sum because it's the quantity is a value, whereas here in this case we are counting the number of the dimension values. We are counting the number of games, or counting the number of publishers and things like that. So which is why we are using a count in this case. Alright, so I hope this video was helpful. I hope you got an understanding of how to do the group by and how to use these for different scenarios. So just by understanding select from where group by, you should be able to crack a lot of simple interview questions based on analysis, right? Especially for early career analysts. So I hope you can use this video and you can share it with your friends as well. Please do like this video and do let me know in the comments how you found this video and what are the other things that I should be making videos on this channel. And if you haven't yet, please do subscribe to the channel. It will give me a lot of validation to make further videos on different topics in this channel. Alright, so until then, I will see you in the next video. Thank you for watching.